So this is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, as you well know, and I have my iPhone 15 Pro Max here. Now you can trade this in for a substantial discount on the Galaxy S25 Ultra, effectively massively reducing the price. But let's see how much more performance you're going to get if you decide to do that in this speed test comparison. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Let's go ahead and begin the speed test with a boot up in 3, 2, go, and see which one can get there first. Now, we are looking at the Snapdragon 8 Elite on the left that is coupled with 12 gigabytes of RAM, Adreno 830 GPU, and Samsung's overclocked version of the 8 Elite that also has One UI 7 and Android 15. On the right, we're looking at iOS 18.3, and we're also looking at the Apple A17 Bionics chipset on the right. Actually, it's the A17 Pro chip on the right, and we're looking at 8 gigabytes of RAM. So those are both pretty up to date. However, the Samsung definitely has the higher specs, I would say. So when it comes to unlocking the Samsung, we are looking at two different forms of biometric. This one is going to be ultrasonic in-display fingerprint sensor, which is pretty good if you got greasy fingers and you just want good accuracy. It's really, really good, actually. You can also unlock from this camera up here, but I don't tend to do that too much because it's not very secure. I don't really trust it too much, but it definitely works if you want to use that. The iPhone over here is going to use Face ID. So the iPhone will just unlock with your face, just kind of look at it and it goes right in. The only con of this is that if you have like gloves that don't really like swipe very well, you could have a little bit of an issue swiping this sometimes. Also, I found unless you kind of have enough brightness to see your face, certain times in the dimmest of settings, it can not work. But generally speaking, it's very convenient and some people might actually prefer the face unlock. So it's still something of a strong suit, I would say, for the Apple device. In terms of actual speed and performance, though, I do think the ultrasonic is a quicker method of unlocking, just simply because you don't actually have to look at this to unlock it. I can look the other way, unlock it. I could pull it out from my pocket this way, or I could just get right into that device. So it's definitely a faster way to unlock, and it didn't do it right there because I was talking. But you can see if I go like this, I don't have to look, and I'm already in to the phone. When it comes to the general performance, both of them do swipe through home pages pretty much at an equal clip. One of the things about the Samsung that's kind of more similar to the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max is its lightweight build. So it kind of feels similar, and they both kind of have that same 120 hertz. They both feel equally smooth going through the home screens and just generally navigating the OS. So this is okay. Like if you had a 15 Pro Max and you wanted to upgrade, don't feel like you're going to get this and get something slower. That's not really happening. As a matter of fact, it's actually a little bit faster than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. All right, guys, so everything is closed out for both phones. Let's go ahead and start with calendar. And you could see Samsung, once again, as I seen in my other iPhone speed test, is quicker with the animation. If you take a look at the clock, also pretty similar. Take a look here and just kind of go through the pages. You're going to get a similar experience there. In calculator, Samsung launching the animation quicker. If we go to weather, and Samsung's weather app used to be slow, but you've seen right there, no problems nowadays. Let's go into, hold on. Now I have to open that to make this fair. We're going to do the Apple News and the Google News. So you'll see Apple News still open first either way. Let's go ahead and go into a section that's kind of similar, technology, consumer electronics. You'll see fast scrolling on the Samsung, a smoother, I wouldn't say smoother, but a slower scroll there for the iPhone. Let's go into Play Store versus App Store, and the Samsung quicker on that one. Games, you could see the Samsung a little faster. And it looks like, you see how this is taking a little bit longer to load? It looks like Samsung's keeping up with that fast scroll more than on the iPhone. Also, those animations look very good as well. Heading into X, that's first on the left. And if we go to profile here, first on the left. And if we slow down the scroll, you can see the Samsung can actually kind of perform the same. Do I have eye comfort shield on? It looks like I do. No, the whites just look a little different. It was throwing me off for a second. But scrolling through, both of them are going to do fantastic when you're in here. The Samsung, because it has a bigger screen, it feels like a bigger phone, like in terms of like the rectangular shape, the larger display, thinner bezels. Even though this phone is close to the same size, it definitely feels a bit smaller. Let's go into the Instagram. So what I'm saying is it kind of feels more like Ultra, if you will, versus the Pro Max, which feels more like just the max size, ultra size. You get what I'm saying. So if you have a 15 Pro Max, you come here, you're gonna feel like, ooh, I got a little bit of a bigger upgrade here. Swipe out. We're gonna go over here to Amazon, and you'll see, I think that was the Samsung. Swiping out, both of them fantastic. And with YouTube, I'm just gonna go over here to trending. And we'll go into gaming, and we'll go over here to movies. And if we swipe through, both of them good. However, there's a little bit more display settings for the Samsung, but the iPhone still has really nice color reproduction, and I like the curves on the edges. It makes it really nice to hold this phone. So I think both of them are really good for media. Let's go into Groupon here, and you'll see that was first on the left. Categories, and I think that was Samsung again. I wouldn't expect the 15 Pro Max to win here, as the 16 Pro Max didn't beat the Samsung. That scrolling right there on Groupon does look a little jumpy, smoother here on the right. So not a fan of that, but again, it's going to come down to certain apps. Some are actually going to be better developed for Android, but I feel like a lot of them are better developed for iPhone. You'll see both of them pretty close in that one. I think it might have been iPhone. I could be wrong though. If I call them wrong, just say, hey, no, look, that Gemini was this one, or Calculator was this one, or Instagram was that one. Just let me know down below in the comments. I'm not perfect. I'm trying to look through a camera, make sure it's in focus, make sure the audio is good. So just call it out if I miss one or the other. All right, so let's head into Subway Surfers now. And you can see Subway Surfers way ahead there on the Samsung. And that's mostly because they definitely upped the clock speed of the 8 Elite on the Samsung phone. It definitely showcases it. Even in single core stuff, you are going to see just kind of like a really snappy speed. But what really makes it fast as well is the newer Wi-Fi standards, the faster 5G you're going to find on the new phone. So it kind of just generally feels blazing quick no matter what you do. In addition to that, they've improved animations in One UI 7. So we have something that feels like it's no longer behind the iPhone experience, which kind of used to feel that way when I was using a Samsung phone, but not in 2025. And I mean, when I say it used to feel that way, I don't mean like last year. I mean like maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, it used to feel that way, but not these days. It's pretty exciting because now you can buy either option, or you can have both if you're the type of person who likes to use both, and both of them just run amazingly well. Let's go into Race the Sun and see what happens here. And Race the Sun is seeming to be in the lead there on the left, and there comes the iPhone, but these differences are pretty minimal. However, you will be getting a much bigger zoom on the Samsung if you go there. However, the video quality is going to still be preference, like how it looks. So keep that in mind. Free Fire was first on the Samsung. It just had a little pop-up, so iPhone looked like it went first, but it didn't. Let's go into Call of Duty on both. And let's see which one gets there first. And again, and you know, I'm calling what I'm seeing. And if one phone is faster than the other phone, then even if it sounds like it could sound like I'm being biased towards one just because one keeps winning. But that's just not the case. Both of them are going to do fantastic when it comes to Call of Duty. And definitely, I really love playing these mobile versions because you can just run a quick match and then be out of there and get on with your day. Versus having to turn the whole system on sometimes, you know, load it up. But you know, true players of this game are definitely not going to be wanting to play it on a phone like they would with a dedicated console or on PC. Let's go into 3D Mark, and you can see much faster there. Well, not much faster, but faster on the left. Let's go into Geekbench 6, and that was quicker on the right. We'll go to Speed Test Net. That one I couldn't see it. It was neck and neck. I really could not see that one. Let's go ahead and hit up LumaFusion, and that was faster on the Samsung. So wrapping up the speed test, or the app test portion of the speed test, the Samsung seems to have faster animations, a little snappier in its operations. The scrolling on certain apps, and exclusively Groupon in this test is what I've seen, was actually a little bit smoother. I still feel like Samsung has a few little choppy things here and there. Like when you first turn the phone on, it could take a while to warm up. Other than that, though, I do feel like the S25 Ultra feels faster, even if it's not a benchmark making a major difference. Like we could do benchmarks, doesn't mean it makes a major difference, but you can actually feel it. So if you have a 15 Pro Max and you want to make a trade in here, I don't think you'll be disappointed, but I don't think it's so much of a jump that you should do it for that reason. So you should probably do it for other reasons, like you want the camera, you want to try Samsung, like other reasons if you were to do it. Other than that, the 15 Pro Max did a really stellar job, and it still feels like top of the line even now in 2025. So I have no qualms about recommending buying the 15 Pro Max or even considering keeping it for a much longer period. It's really that good stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and run through the applications and see how they perform on the reload. And you can see pretty good. Of course, I got to swipe from the side here, and pretty good. We'll go to 8-Ball Pool, Brawl Stars with a reload, but that's going to do that on the iPhone as well. Gemini, a little bit choppy, and don't tell me I didn't download the app. I did download the app before the video. You can go over here to News. We'll go on to Weather, Clock, and Calendar. So no massive problems here. Gemini, a little bit weird there. And Brawl Stars always kind of relaunches and so far. So let's see how the iPhone 15 Pro Max does. Notice I almost slipped up and called it the iPhone 16 Pro Max because honestly, it feels like the same phone, just a lot lighter. The 16 Pro Max definitely feels heavier. That's one thing I really love about the new iPhones, or the 15 series, excuse me, is that they were really, really light. Just like the new S25 series, those are also really light. They remind me more of the 15 series than the 16 series, which is quite a bit heavy. Let's go into App Store, News, Weather, Calculator, Clock, and Calendar. So pretty great performance there, even with 8 gigs of RAM, no major issues on this phone. And we've done it. Finally, for a Samsung phone, we have beat an iPhone on both single and multi-core performance, substantially in the multi-core, and not too much, but definitely wins out in the single core. Now, if you take a look at my history, that is not even the highest scores I've gotten. The highest score I got was 3,018, on this phone. Now, this phone also probably had higher scores than this before. But definitely didn't touch 3,000. This is actually one of the this is the highest score I've ever got on this iPhone, and that's on the latest version. So that's a good thing for those of you updating to iOS 18.3. But let's go ahead and run now a 3D Mark, and we'll see how it does here. Usually the Samsung takes the win in this test. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Wildlife Extreme, and I'll be back when they're done. And here is the final Wildlife Extreme. And as you can see, we do score better than 97% of devices, as in my past test showed this. But 35 FPS, I've actually seen better on this phone. This one 19, so substantially higher frame rates there, which would mean that the Samsung should substantially outperform the 15 Pro Max in some heavier tasks like gaming. So I would upgrade for that area. Unless there's specific games you already purchased or you have a lot of invested in the iOS, then probably go 16 Pro Max or wait for 17 Pro Max. But I think across the board, when it comes to heavier use, the Samsung is a good amount ahead of the 15 Pro Max, and it barely eked by the 16 Pro Max, but it's definitely ahead of this phone right here. So let's go ahead and wrap it up with a quick camera sample. I'm going to bring in my trusty Android man, as I usually do in my speed tests here. All right, so let's go ahead now and just kind of like do a quick camera sample. We're going to go ahead and do this right now in 3, 2, go, and see which one could open this first. So I'm gonna actually do that again because it was on the front camera. 3, 2, go. And it looks like the iPhone. I want to close it out just to make sure. Let me go ahead and make sure that it's fully closed on both. And we'll go ahead and run this back. 3, 2, go. Yeah, the iPhone faster. So the Samsung camera, for some reason, not the fastest out there, but it does have way more features, like right in the camera itself. But either way you go here, you're not going to be disappointed. Both of these do have fantastic setups. Although I would say the Samsung has a little bit more pro features than the iPhone, and a little bit more granular control, along with a lot more just features to mess around with. So at the end of the day, in terms of performance, if you were to trade this in for this phone, would you be getting a good deal of performance more? And I would say yes. You're getting faster connectivity, faster speed across the board, better cameras, arguably longer battery life, better heat management. There's a lot of upgrades besides just speed on this phone, a lot of customization. But if you love the Apple experience, this phone is still great. If you want a 17 Pro Max, just hold on. This phone is not old, outdated in no way. But if you wanted to switch and try something out, I don't think this would be a bad one to do. Either way you go, either of these phones, you're winning. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in the next battle. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.